This live stream is sponsored in part by Tint Wiz. Tint Wiz is a CRM suite designed for window tinters. From acquisition to invoicing and everywhere in between, you can run your business more efficiently and more profitably with Tint Wiz. Check it out at tintwiz.com. You can also download it for iOS and Android. Don't forget your free 30-day trial at sign up. This live stream is also sponsored in part by Dry Shrink Prep. Dry Shrink Prep is the healthy alternative to dryer sheets. Made with 100% all natural ingredients, Dry Shrink Prep is changing the industry for the better, one shrink at a time. For more information and a purchase, go to dryshrinkprep.com. This live stream is also sponsored in part by Solar Effects Window Films. At Solar Effects Window Films, their goal is simple: make your car look hotter while keeping your interior cooler. Their automotive window films are manufactured with the most advanced technologies available, which allow them to deliver a broad range of products to meet your needs. Check out solareffectswindowfilms.com and find out why they're the fastest growing film company in the US. Lastly, this live stream is sponsored in part by you, the viewers. If you're watching on YouTube through the power of Super Chat, or if you're watching on Facebook through the link in the description, you're able to go ahead and donate to the channel. All proceeds go to help support the channel and are much appreciated. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another live stream here Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, you know, I forgot. I totally forgot. Hold on, because it sounds weird without it. Hold it. Get a little background music going in there. I was getting everything together and I'm like, there's something wrong. There's something off. And it's definitely the audio. Let's do that. Beautiful. All right. So again, welcome back to another live stream here on YouTube. We're only doing this on YouTube. Unfortunately, with the software that I have going on, it's not allowing me to upload it to Facebook or any of the Facebook groups. So I do apologize for those of you guys that are here. Welcome, 1,000 welcomes. Tonight's interview is going to be very exciting. One of the co-founders of Advanced Film Solutions, the company I work for out in Lutz, Florida, Adam Feldman. We're going to be talking to him this evening. We're going to be talking about you know, the conversation started and this whole thing started because I had some questions in regards of auto stuff and doing Flatglass stuff. So if you're primarily an auto guy and you're looking to get into flat, you know, what are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the things that you should be worried about? Some things you should know, some things you should get, you know, I don't know, just so that you don't walk into a buzzsaw when you start doing this up. SP Diddy, what's going on, man? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome, 1,000 welcomes. All right, so without further ado, guys, let me go ahead and get Adam here in the live stream. 1 second. Boom, we got Adam now here. Adam, say hi.
Hey guys.
There we go. I'm just gonna adjust the audio here just a little bit. Boom. All right, so like I said, guys, Adam here, this is my boss over at Advanced Film Solutions, one of the co-founders of Advanced Film Solutions. We've been in the business, or Advanced Film's been in since 2008, correct? So a little over 13 years. 2007, excuse me. Adam, if you wouldn't mind, would you give some people some background information in regards to Advanced Film, just so they know that you're not like some crazy person I just pulled out of the street?
Right. Well, also some crazy person you pulled out of the street. But when I was 16 years old, working as a summer job for a window film company, I got bit by the window film bug. I knew I wanted to do this. I had to find, you know, the right time. And I was going to go and open in maybe 2003, 2004, and all these hurricanes, all this crazy stuff's going. The economy's doing amazing. And then my father said, let's hold off for a couple years. We'll open it up together. And so we ended up opening the doors in March of 2007, thinking we just needed one storm or a halfway decent economy and we're going to be set. And then for the next decade is the worst economy since the Great Depression, and there's no hurricanes. So not the best of times, but we were able to keep it lean. And now we've been like awarded Dealer of the Year for the Southeast region 3 times in the last 5 years. And if you ever look at Window Film Magazine, we're always on there as one of the top 15 window film companies of the country. So we've outlasted it.
Excellent, excellent. So, yep, like I said, guys, I don't work for chumps, and this is definitely an outfit that knows what they're doing for sure, for sure, for sure. Now, Adam, so the topic of the evening tonight is that we're talking about the following, the people that watch the YouTube channel, the people that are part of the group on Facebook and such. They're primarily, I would say, mostly automotive. That's what we push for. And you know, the topic at hand tonight is automotive guys getting into flat glass. What are some of the things that they should know getting into it, so that they don't like step on a landmine and completely like, because a lot of it's not just guys that either work for someone, but there are guys out there that are the entrepreneur type that do things on their own. They might have their own small one-man operation business, and they might want to diversify the business a little bit and offer more services. What are some thoughts and things that you can give to them to guide them?
Well, car film's good in the sense that it's not quite as seasonal. That it's got some cash aspect to it. The price point's lower, so people want to do it more often than they do houses. But in houses, the potential for sales is tremendously higher. I mean, how many cars do you have to tint to equal, let's say, even 300 square feet of window film, where the material cost and your labor cost is maybe half of the total order? You sell a $2,000 job, you made $1,000 profit. And how many cars do you have to do that?
I would say a fair good amount for sure.
So the big thing is just the way you talk to the customer, and to get involved with them and to act like you know what you're talking about, because you should know what you're talking about. I mean, there's with the internet now and YouTube and looking things up, you can pretty much find the answer to anything. But you don't need to be like the most educated guy on this. You need to be smarter than your customer on the subject. And for the most part, that's easy because most people don't know anything about window film. They just, does the film go on the inside or the outside? Is it going to turn purple? How much to tint a slider? It's like the only 3 questions you're ever going to get asked.
Right. Okay. Now, one of the questions I asked you, and I asked you this, this is real life stuff here. I asked you, what would happen if I took automotive film and I put it on flat glass? Because I think that's probably one of the first things that auto guys will think of. You know, I know that flat glass films and automotive films are similar, but they have different adhesives. What are the main differences between automotive film and flat glass film?
Okay, so your automotive film is predominantly 1 mil thick or 1.5 mil thick. Sometimes you're getting into the 2s and 2.5s if you're putting on some specialty ceramic, but for the most part, 1.5 mil thick. There's a resin in the adhesive, and the resin in the adhesive allows the material to curve around surfaces. But that works against you when you're talking about house film. House film doesn't have that resin in the adhesive because there's no reason to curve it around a surface. But without that resin in the adhesive, you don't get that faint orange peel look like you get with even really good car film. The house films do not have that at all. So they're much more optically clear. They're thicker. The house films start at about 2 mil thick, and then some of the solars are 2.5 mil, and then obviously you go up to the securities where you could be hanging 23 mil if you wanted to.
Wow.
But so there's a thickness difference. It doesn't crease as easily as like a 1 mil or 1.5 mil car film. You need different tools to put it on properly. You don't need them, but you find that the car film tools are a lot softer. The house film tools are a lot more rigid, so you can push out more of the water because it's just not going to be exposed to the same amount of heat as a car film will. It won't dry as quickly or maybe even at all if you leave a big enough bubble. But the big thing is if you put car film on a house, you're going to get no warranty. No auto warranty people give you warranty on flat glass. So it would be better. You're going from a 0 warranty to a lifetime warranty to put on the right stuff. You do need different tools. It is a little different to work with. But if you think about it in terms of how does car film really work, you're going to do some degree of reflection, but it's not that reflective. You're mostly absorbing heat. And then the glass is getting tremendously hot, much hotter than it was before you even tinted the thing. But then as you're driving down the road, the wind is dissipating the heat as you're going 50, 60 miles an hour. In a house setting, you're never going to get enough wind to dissipate the heat. There's always going to be that, you're creating little heat sinks everywhere. If you just got the film on here, house film, you're absorbing a tremendous amount of heat. There's no way to dissipate it. So the glass gets much hotter. You run the risk of damaging the glass if it's not single pane tempered. And you do also run the risk of obviously having no warranty when something goes wrong.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now, just to let everyone know, that everyone that is watching, we are going to do a quick Q&A. If you guys had questions, go ahead and throw it in the comments below, and then that way we'll go ahead and get to those when we get to that, when we cross that bridge. What would you say are the major liabilities that people should be aware of getting into the Flatglass game?
I mean, I don't, state by state, you have to be a contractor to do it. I mean, I know in California you need to have a contractor's license to do it. In most states, it's a retrofit. In Florida, it's a retrofit. You're not doing anything structural. You don't need to do permits. You don't need a contractor's license.
Okay.
It'd be a good idea to get general liability insurance just to cover your butt just in case. But not only that, it breeds confidence, because a lot of people in our industry, as you know, are anything from gas station attendants to pizza delivery guys. And then in the summer, they pop up like weeds, and then they go and hang a couple pieces of film, and then they disappear into the air. Now, even if you are one of those people getting into it, you can't look like one of those people, because that's what all your competition looks like. So you have to have some insurance. You have to just generally carry yourself like you're a real company. And from that, people will breed confidence, and that'll continue to help you with referrals and future customers.
Excellent. Definitely. That's definitely some good tips. I had one question here. Hold on. Off the top of my head. Now you went over tools. You actually took that right out of my mouth. I was going to ask that question here. Could you tell us, some of the differences between single pane, double pane, and some of the risks if you go too dark on some of these versus too light? Like, I've heard that there's certain gas between double pane and you can crack it. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So your crappiest of all glass, for lack of a better word, is single pane annealed. Single pane annealed, you have to be cautious as to awnings and overhangs, because what's going to happen is you put a piece of window film on, because even if it's a shiny film, it might be 29% absorption rate rather than some of the films are 60, 70% absorption rate. So you're okay until you get to the films where, when you look at the sample cards, the absorption rate's getting close to 50%. At 50%, you have to start being concerned about the lighting on the glass, because let's say you've got, for lack of hands, this is a window, top, bottom of the window. Now right. You put an awning up here. And because of this awning, this top part of the window is really not getting that much heat, but this bottom's getting blasted. And this temperature difference between how hot the bottom part of the window is versus how not hot the top part of the window is that's covered by the shade can cause a stress crack to go right up the window and break the window. And that's why you have to be concerned about how shiny the film is, because the shinier it is, the less you're absorbing, the more you're reflecting, and the less heat load is going to be on the glass. That's single pane annealed. Single pane tempered, you do whatever you want. You could even put car film on it. It's not going to work worth a damn. You maybe get like 47% heat rejection for a limo tint. You could get 70% heat rejection from a house limo tint as far as darkness goes. And there is no such thing as too dark for single pane tempered, because it's built, it's heat strengthened. It's gonna weather that severe heat. Now you get into the dual pane glass. Now the dual pane glass is a piece of glass, a gap, which sometimes has nothing in it. Sometimes it's got argon gas. More often than not, it's argon gas, especially if it's got that slight greenish hue to it. And then another piece of glass. And now you've got this insulator that's keeping the heat from making it through this one piece of glass, through the gas, through and into the house. But because of that, you put a film on that's absorbing too much heat on the inner. When the sun comes through, it hits this, heating it up, heats up the gas, and can cause seal failure, which is the gas expanding to the point that it starts bridging leaks in the frame, because the framing of the window.
Okay.
Because it's important to know that even if you bought $5,000 per pane pieces of glass, it's all going to go bad eventually. It's just like the air in a tire. You could fill it with nitrous. It's still going to be escaping at a real slow rate. In fact, if you ever take one of these windows apart that's dual pane glass, you'll see that they've got kind of like when you open up a vitamin packet and you got the little packet with the silica in it.
Yeah.
There's silica in this framing. because they know that they're in a losing battle against humidity. And in a long enough time frame, that air is going to go out. So everything that they're doing and packing it in is trying to dry it and keep the moisture from going into this pan. Because if you eventually, the gas is going to escape, the argon gas. And when that happens, it's going to get backfilled with whatever quality of air you have out there, which in Florida is gross, humid Florida air. And then you're going to get that kind of streaking cloudiness, and that's called seal failure. The other concern, you put something on like a ceramic film in anything darker than like a 40 VLT, you're going to start absorbing too much heat. You can cause stress cracks on that as well. Now, if it's tempered, you're not going to have as much of a problem with that, but not all dual pane glass is tempered. If it doesn't have that little etching on the bottom, it's probably not tempered. And even still, you have to be concerned with the gas in between. So second you see dual pane glass, for safety's sake, unless you want to risk carrying a warranty on that when your film manufacturer says, oh, you shouldn't have put that on the glass, you wouldn't go darker than a ceramic 40 of some type on dual pane glass. If your customer wants to go darker, then you can do an exterior film where you're not having the same absorption issues, or you can start going to more of the dual reflective or reflectives to keep the absorption down.
Okay. So for now the what'd you call it? The single pane annealed
Annealed, ANNEALED.
Annealed. And for everyone that are watching, clearly, like, I'm not like the most at this, so this is helping me too. But yeah, this is like not like this is not rehearsed. This is really, these are real questions I'm asking. So single pane annealed, you can go dark as long as it's not over an awning because of the different, like, how dark would you say you could go with a glass like that?
I mean, I like going in like a 30 to 40% neutral would be as dark as I would really feel comfortable going on single pane annealed. In fact, if you look at some of the warranty forms, I mean, which before you get into any of this, you should read the front and back of the warranty form. Nobody ever does. But if you do, you're going to save yourself some trouble, because you'll see something where it'll say, all these films are covered against 5-year glass breakage, 3-year seal failure, except, and then they'll name their exceptions. And those are your super dark neutrals, neutral 10s, neutral 20s, your super non-reflectives, your equivalent to what a car film looks like in a 5, a 15, a 30. That's when you're going to start running into problems with the wrong kind of glass. There's actually a lot of these manufacturers, which either online or they have apps, have a film to glass chart. And you can type what kind of thickness of the glass, what type of the glass, and the type of film you're trying to put on. And it's very color coded. It's either going to be green, yellow, or red. Okay. Yellow, maybe see if there's an awning or some other thing present that would be a problem. Otherwise, you're good. Green, totally good. Red, avoid or do at your own peril.
Okay, so most manufacturers have some sort of chart that like an installer can kind of review and just know what to do and what not to do, essentially. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's a quick reference thing. I mean, I've got an app on my phone that has that kind of stats on it.
Okay.
And while I'm measuring or something like that, I could always cross-reference it if I needed to.
I mean, normally, are you just going across like single pane, double pane, mostly single pane, mostly double pane? What's the most common glass you would say?
It's a mix. There's a lot of new construction around here. New construction's dual pane glass. I'd say anything nice houses after 2006 to 2008 are probably exclusively double pane.
Okay.
But newer houses, definitely double pane. If it's got a greenish hue to it, definitely double pane. The single pane glass is going to be in your older construction or in a lot of commercial. But a lot of the commercial is tempered, and then you don't have the same problem.
You don't have to worry about it. Okay. I did have this question. What would you say, in your opinion, is like the most commonly used film? Like, is it a dual reflective 15? Is it a excuse me, is it more of like a natural 40? Like, is it like, because clearly if people get their windows tinted, it's because it's too bright, I'm assuming, most of the time, and they want to darken it up, or possibly with like glare reduction and the UV protection. Like, what's the most common film you would say you put on flat glass?
Well, I mean, that's kind of subjective to the company, and that's the problem. And it's the problem is that a lot of times people aren't asking the right questions. They're waiting for their turn to speak, but the customer is going to be right in this situation. To address the customer's problem is the way that you're going to sell the window film. And there's a huge range of customers, from the people who want it to be dark and shiny, to the people who want it to be as light as possible, to the people who wouldn't have done this except for they cut down a tree and because of termites got struck by lightning and now the sun's blaring in, and the people who, I don't want to do my whole front of the house. I just want to do one window. And you're like, it's above the front door in some impossible place to reach or with a bunch of French paints. And you're like, really, of all the damn windows in this house, you want to do that one pane in the ass window? But still, they want to do this one window, but they need it to look fairly uniform from the front. Then you start talking to them about, okay, well, if you want to do this one window, I'm going to have to do it in a ceramic film so it doesn't look super obvious that we just kind of piecemealed it. You're going to have a checkerboard. I'm going to put shiny film right here, and there's going to be nothing, 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 and it's just going to be an eyesore. So we have to go ceramic. That film's a little bit more expensive. You might not be able to go as dark. Maybe it's dual pane glass, blah, 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 blah. But we can also make the whole front of your house matte if we do it all in a DR something, a dual reflective something. And now that we have a dual reflective film on all your windows, the film's a little less expensive. The whole front of the house will still match, but you'll get better performance out of it. And even though it's a little bit more money, you know that you're going to, after you do this first window, you're probably going to say, wow, it's so much cooler in here. I wish I had done some other windows, but now I got to pick the same expensive film to do the whole rest of it. Where if you just addressed it in the first place, it would have just been done. So I normally tell customers when they're like, hey, I did it's one window. It's like, look, you can totally do that. But, you know, the thing about window film is you go your whole life without any. It's like tattoos. You go your whole life without any, but you don't stop at one. So here, maybe consider it for these other rooms, and then I'll give you a quote for the one window, and I'll give you a quote for the house, and then I'll just discount it if you do the larger scope because you're doing more worth our time. And I'll give you a better price. You'll get better performance out of it because, you know, about half of your electric bill is typically cooling cost, unless you got some super high draw thing like a hot tub or you're heating your pool or something. Half your electric bill is just cooling cost. And if I can block, let's say 50% of what's causing half of your bill, that's a 25% reduction in your bill. What's a bill in the summer? Oh, $400. So if I took $100 off a month, how many months does that take to pay for itself? And then they're like, oh, shoot, that's right. And then it suddenly becomes a whole game as to, I can actually save money on this. Because there's a lot of trades that do energy building envelope stuff. They build new windows and they blow in insulation and they put the LED lighting in. And all these things have really cruddy return on investments. So they use things like what we do, window film, that's got like a 12 to 24-month return on investment to bring down the numbers of return on investment of all these other products, making their products look more efficient because they have something that's such a low cost relative to all the other things you could do for your house,
right?
And has such a high payback.
Nice. Yeah, okay, all right. I think that answers. Now, if because like maybe some people, like I have the luxury of having you, right? So I can go to you with any question that I have and we can sit down and talk for an hour. But the problem is that some people aren't as lucky. Some people don't have any friends at all. Some people only have auto friends. Some people, Flatglass guys, won't even take a second look at them. If someone had questions, do you think a good idea would be like maybe touching base with a manufacturer and talking to one of the sales? Would a sales rep actually sit down with you and explain stuff like this to you? I mean, obviously the goal is to sell film, and if they educate the guy, then the guy or girl sells more film, and then it's right as rain for everyone. Is that like a realistic thing that people can do, or no?
I mean, you could probably find some friends in the business or some of your sales reps that you could go and get advice, but you're only going to get advice for one type of film, the film that they have. And it is your duty in this is to try to educate yourself on all the films, because it doesn't matter if it's a film that you carry or not. If it's a film that's popular in your area because somebody else has it, then you should be able to articulate why your film is different or better. So most people going in are saying, look, The reason I didn't want to get into this business by myself, the reason I'm content being an installer, is I don't really like sales. I'm not good at sales, or would some version of that. And every interaction that you ever have with anybody is sales. So if you suck at sales, you suck at life. I mean, you have to, everything that you, even this conversation right now, I'm giving you the version of me that I want to show you, in the same way that everybody does that with any human interaction. It's the same thing with sales, with in front of a customer. You just need to be the authority on it. And the way to do that is to know a little bit more about all these other films. So when someone says, hey, I know you're trying to quote product A, but the last guy had product B, what's the difference? Or who's better, or who, whatever. And you need to be able to explain a little bit as to why those films are better, but not better as in, a lot of people go into this autopilot of, oh, well, if you go with this film, it's got 71% heat rejection, it's non-reflective on the inside, it's got 85% glare rejection, and blah, 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 blah. And now this film's got 78% heat rejection, but you can't really see through it at night because it's so shiny when you're looking through, you see? And then people start getting confused and the eyes roll in the back of their head, and they're not, unless you're talking to an engineer, most of the people don't care about this stuff. It's like we burden ourselves with knowing all this stuff that the customer doesn't really give a crap about. What the customer wants is the problem that they called you about to be solved. So the way to do that is to just, instead of going and talking about window film, ask them why they called you over. Most people don't do that. They walk through the door, nice to meet you. Maybe they compliment them. Oh, nice kitchen. I was looking at that appliance. All right, let me start talking about window film. And you're like, they don't care.
Right. What are you trying to goal? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Right. And no one's going to, like when you walk through the door, I don't know if you guys, any of you guys who are listening who have flat glass experience already, even just a little bit, isn't it weird how every customer, not every, but 90% of customers tend to bring you into the room just not naturally through conversation. You're greeting them at the door. Should I take my shoes off? Should I not? And they're like, yeah, oh, thanks for asking. Oh, no problem. That's why I wear slip-ons. It's real easy. Beep, beep, beep. And then I go walk into the house, and it's like, oh, that's cool. You went to Florida State. Go Noles. And then I say, and then you realize you end up in the room where you're like, okay, so what's the problem? And they're like, it's these windows right here. And they always, you're like a crime scene investigator when you walk into the house, and the customer always brings you to the scene of the crime. And they end up having that conversation right in front of the windows that they hate, or that they would not hate if you had the window film on. And then they're like, oh, it's just these windows right here. So if they're already bringing you into the room that has the problem, then you already see what it is. And you're like, okay, let me go and you get a little mental picture. Okay, this is facing west. So I've had my sales call in the morning, let's say. So this is about as dark, would you say, customer, as it's ever going to be? And they're like, yeah, this is pretty dark. Aside from a rainy day, this is dark. Okay, cool. Then you give them a film sample, give them something super dark, like limo tint, 10%, 15%. Even if they said, I don't want to go dark, you just give them something dark. Here you go, take a look at it. Don't hold it up to the stupid window and look through the little square, because then you're going to have all this light that's coming around. You're going to see this dark square. You're going to get scared that you're going too dark. What I want you to do is hold the sample in front of your eyes like sunglasses and look through the window, because this will give you a good representation, looking through the film, what it's going to look like when it's on the glass. And tell me if it's too dark. Because if it's not too dark now, when it's facing west and we're in the morning, it's not going to look too dark when the sun's streaming in. What I'm concerned about for you, because you mentioned you don't want to go too dark, is I don't ever want it to be too dark in here for you. So if the sun's on the total opposite side of the house, and you're using this like sunglasses, and you're looking through this window, and it's not too dark in the morning, it won't be too dark in the afternoon. And now we've properly solved the customer's problem. We didn't just say window film, window film, window film. We said, what do you want to do? What are your concerns? Okay, let's go to the opposite side of the house of the problem, or the opposite side of the house is the sun. Let's look through the film. Let's make sure it's not too dark. And then we know that we're at least picking the right solution for you. And the right solution for the customer could be an 80% light transmission film. And it could be like a 5% one-way mirror type film. But it's based on what the customer's trying to address, not what you're trying to sell.
I like that. That's very smart. I can see how the rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because then, like, I want to keep asking more questions, like, how do you know between natural and dual reflective, and you know, like, how do you choose those? Or I did have a question here when Diddy here on YouTube says, if a pane has a small crack in it, would you just pass on the job entirely?
No, I mean, like anybody who's in our business, I would like to think knows at least one glass company. But you should have 2 or 3 per city, because if they get busy, or let's just say there's a pandemic followed by crime that leads to rioting, you might need multiple glass companies. And it's good to have those kind of people that you know. You wouldn't want to pass on the job entirely, but at the same time, you wouldn't want to do the job because, as we talked about, even the super, super mirrored shiny films have some degree of absorption. And when you put the film on, even if you don't push on it to the point that you're going to break the window, you're going to push on it, it's going to go on there, and then as the heat starts hitting it, it's going to cause that stress crack to get worse and worse and worse. And suddenly you touched it last. So,
so whose fault is it?
But I would say get 2-3 quotes, Mr. Customer, and if you need 2-3 different window companies, I got 2 or 3 in my phone right now. We can call them, we can figure it out. Here's the size, here's the glass type. They can probably quote it for you over the phone, but you should definitely not pass on it. You can even include it in the service. So let me find out, here's the price of the film. I'll find out what the glass costs for you. And then they tell you it's 150, 200 bucks, then tell them it's 220 bucks. You got a 10% finder's fee for it.
There you go.
Pass it through if you're just trying to take care of the customer. But it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so you should try to know as many people in complementary trades to yours as possible.
Copy that. Okay, so don't pass on it. See if you can fix it, or try to get someone to fix it, or learn glass companies that can fix it and just roll it in with it.
All I'm saying is, like, okay, somebody recently in February, I was signing a contract for doing a school district, and they said we have to put safety film on 247 schools, and you have 180 days to do it, or else you're going to get fined every day you're not done. Can you do it? And the answer is yes. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that. At the time, I didn't know. I was like, but if I don't say yes, there's somebody else is going to say yes to that. I'm going to go and figure out how to do it, but damn sure nobody else is going to get this job besides me. I'll sign it and figure out how I'm going to do it later. But as long as you got that thing, it's going to get done, because it has to get done, because if not, somebody else is going to do it. Then you'll figure out a way to get it done.
So you just got to buck up and do it and get it done. So we'll figure out a way.
Everything's a learning experience. They called me and said, do you want to go and do graphics on the inside of elevators? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, my guys are good at putting window film on a piece of glass that you can see through. How hard is it going to be to put on a sticker that you can't see through? So let's do it. Whatever. And then I got involved in doing like cruise lines and space shuttles and stuff. It's just from saying yes and figuring out how to do it later.
Just say yes and figure it out. Figure it out, and don't get yourself over in over water, I guess, maybe.
No, just don't overcommit, but know if it's something that you don't personally know how to do, but you know can be done, then you can figure out how to do it. And if you don't want to be that kind of guy, then maybe you should be working for somebody
right
else.
Exactly.
But if you want to go and do your own thing, you're going to always find it's always scariest the first time you get something, and then afterwards you're the expert because you know how to do it.
Right, exactly. That's smart. Yeah, that's right. If you're not willing to figure out how to get it done, then you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe you should be working for someone else instead of yourself.
I mean, in that regard, and it's not to belittle it, because there's a lot of stress in running your own business, because like if I had hair, I'd be pulling it out, but it's stressful to do, because imagine you open the doors, you have a great month. I mean, like a 6-figure month, the first month you're open, and it doesn't repeat again for another year and a half, that you don't get a month like that again, because the whole economy goes to crap and no one has any money to buy stuff. And then you just got to start thinking about it. Okay, well, I was thinking I was going to sell a lot of safety film, because we open in March. So people are going to start talking about hurricanes in like May. And you can't say anything about window film and hurricanes, but it's synonymous that windborne debris, I should hold the glass in. Okay, maybe I should get new glass or new shutters. And then they're like, oh, wait, no, I got kids. I got to send them to college. I can't afford that stuff. What's a little less expensive? And then they think the other alternatives. But so there was no reason to get that film. And that was the film I thought I was going to sell a lot of. But I didn't stick there trying to pitch safety film like a lot of the companies that went out of business after this. I started thinking, well, they're in a house that they bought for $400,000. It is now worth $200,000. They can't sell the place because they're going to lose their shirts on it. And then where else are they going to live? So they got to live here, but they got to make it less expensive to live here. So let's go and put window film on for energy saving so that they don't have as high an electric bill. They don't have to buy new tables or anything because they're not getting blasted by the sun as much, or new flooring. We'll make it more affordable to live in that house. And then when the economy gets better, then I sold them a transferable lifetime warranty window film. They can sell the house and say, look, my energy bill is going to be 20-30% lower than my neighbors, and you still have a lifetime warranty on it through this company. Here you go. And now I give them a value proposition that they can sell their house for more when they were stressed out they couldn't sell their house at all. And everybody else who's a dummy in my field was trying to sell safety film when there weren't storms coming. So you got to adapt and you got to sell to your customer, not what you've got in stock.
So figure out what the problem is and figure out the solution to the problem for that customer. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people neglect to do at all. I mean, like, my favorite thing to do on a day-to-day, like, I hate looking at how much film I got to order, and I'm scheduling all these guys' jobs and like booking out to July already. I'm like, what I want to do is talk to a customer, because the customer is the only thing that changes in our business. And that is the fun part. Because, I mean, I've gone into houses where there's like just stuff, and I ask about the stuff, and it leads to a rabbit hole where I spend an hour at the house, and I talked about window film for 10 minutes, and I talked about anything else that was more interesting than boring window film for 50 minutes. And the customer bought from me instead of the people who did probably a better job explaining the window film, because I did a better job explaining why you'd want us by talking to them about the subjects that they care about instead of stupid window film.
Right. Be personable. Part of sales. You know, build rapport.
Yeah, they'll tell you, you don't want to be the inclination for any customer, you know, and so does everybody who's listening to this. You call out something that you don't know as a trade, but you had to get an air conditioning guy or a roofer or one of those guys that snakes through your attic and runs wires or something. You don't know about that field. So you call somebody and they just sound like they're trying to sell you something. And then you're like, going to get a couple quotes. That isn't, I don't know. I didn't really get a good feel for this guy. I didn't, you know, your lizard brain starts thinking, people want to buy from people that they like. So make yourself likable. If I go in there and I talk about anything other than window film, then they're finding a common ground. They don't see me as a sales rep anymore. They see me as the smart friend of theirs that knows enough about the product that they can advise them while being somewhat objective. So don't aim to be the sales guy, aim to be the smart friend.
Nice. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just have a couple more questions, and then we'll go ahead and close her out. While I'm asking these, if there is any other questions from anyone that are watching right now, go for it here, and then we'll go ahead and answer that too. Tyler Riley says, I need to head to Florida and learn more from your boss. So Tyler Riley might be on his way down. So, and then Diddy said, awesome, thank you, good idea. Diddy was the one asking about the crack in the glass, whether you should pass on the job entirely or not. Last two questions.
Never say no. Just find out how it's yes.
Exactly. Never say no, find out how it's yes. That's excellent advice. Last two questions. Second to last question. Commercial real estate. Do you need special licensing? Do you need this, or do you just need a pair and just walk into a place and be like, hey, I'd like to tint your windows on your commercial property? Like,
well, you don't, I can't speak to every state, because some states need contractors licenses, and a lot of these people don't like solicitors anyway. But what you should do is, maybe if you're already use what you have to make more. So you got a car film customer. So when you're talking to them about it, you're like, hey, you really like the car? Hey, what do you do for work? And then you find out what they do. And then they're like, hey, and then you start working your way through that way. Or maybe you tinted one shop in a strip mall that has 10 shops, and you tinted one because one person called you. So now I'm not a big fan of cold calling. I don't go around door to door. I'm like, hey, you want a window film? How about these Girl Scout cookies? But if I tinted one place, then I have no problem walking into the other 9. Just walking, hey, we're doing window film in your area. The people right over there, 2 doors down, thought it was way too hot and bright, and I just figured that everyone in this building is facing the same direction. So, I mean, are you all kind of feeling the same sun, right? So you want to quote while we're here? And then they're like, oh yeah, we've been meaning to, or let me take your card and hand it to the manager, or maybe I can whatever. But what you need is you get the guy who's getting blasted by the sun, the guy who's at Verizon who's got drew the short straw and he's got his desk closest to the window who's getting blasted. You get that guy in your corner, and you'll get the whole building tinted because he's the one who's feeling the pain. So you find that link in the chain that you can help, and then from that you use that to build to other people that are like, if you do one place in a strip mall, then you're lazy if you didn't walk into the other places in that same strip mall. You got every reason to go in there.
Okay, yeah, because you're not just some random person just walking in. You're like, you're doing business there. I
mean, you've been there when the guy shows up and like, hey, do you want to buy this pie that we made and it's going to help the homeless? And you're just like, I mean, maybe if I really wanted pie, but I mean, this guy's walking around with this just door to door trying to sell me pie. But if you're next door already, then yeah, okay. Well, at least then, even if you didn't sell the pie at that occasion, you could at least go and plant the seed where the customer next door is going to look at the other guy's job and say, oh, that looks pretty good. I kind of like the way that looks. Or they'll walk in later, weeks after you're gone. You'll never hear from them again. And then they'll walk into the next place and they'll realize it's 20 degrees cooler in that place. And they'll be like, man, I should have called that guy. Can I find his card? And then if they found the card, cool. And if they didn't find the card, then maybe you could show up again in a few weeks under the guise of, hey, customer who we did install for, is it drying right? Is everything good? Is it blah, blah, blah? And then once they're happy, because they will be, because you didn't do a crappy job and you charge them a good price and the film's working well, just like you said it would, because you knew enough about your product, then you go back into those other places and say, hey, did you get a chance to check out that place next door? I was just doing a welfare check, making sure everything dried right, and figured while I was in here, maybe I lost my card, or, 98% of what I say gets forgotten as soon as I leave the room. So I figured maybe you'd need another bit of this information. They're like, yeah, actually, I was looking for your card, but I was going to talk to you about these couple. And then you get all this other business out of the one by just keeping up with it.
Yeah, so it makes it look, I mean, you're going back, you're checking in on them, so it looks like you're not just, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, on to the next. You look like a company that actually cares and wants to ensure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the car film market is different from the house or commercial film market in that way, that every 3 to 5 years, you get a new car for the most part. It's 7 to 10 years for a house, and commercial can stay there a real long time. So this is kind of a business of one-night stands. I'm going to put this film on. It's going to have a lifetime warranty. I'm never going to see you again unless you move or you refer me to a friend or something. So you're always on the prowl for the next thing. But if you can make that next thing the neighbor of the place that's already can vouch for you, then that's a lot easier than trying to go door to door or sending out 400,000 mailers to get 20 phone calls.
Right.
That's the reality of it. I will get, 100, 200 phone calls out of a mailer where I sent 400,000 out. That is an absurdly low percentage. But those 100 or 200 calls, let's say if I get 100 phone calls, I'll close 80 of them. And that's giving me like a really cruddy batting average for what I'm probably doing. But let's say I get 80 out of that 100, then that paid for everything. Advertising, the rent, gas, the installer's rate, the everything based on those. But that you have to spend a lot of money to get a really crappy return on investment. Or you can get one customer that and they have a real good percentage of getting the other people in that strip mall because they're facing the same way, and you got a testimonial right next door.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's some great advice. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think you could answer that any better. I like that one. Last question here, and then we'll go ahead and close her out here, is that front of houses HOA. Is it a thing? Do you always have to check with it? Do you have to like submit something for them to submit to the HOA? Like, how does that work?
Well, first off, you let the customer fight their own battles with regards to the HOA. Most of these people are either on the board or they hate them. So you don't want to say, one way or other or take a stand. And
Okay.
you walk in there. The big thing is you're driving through the neighborhood. You should always get into the neighborhood 5 to 10 minutes before you're supposed to be there. And by that, I mean, if you have a 10 o'clock appointment, you're supposed to be there at 9:50 because you don't want to be there too early. They're still in their underwear because they're not ready for you. But you don't want to be hugging the line at 10 o'clock. You want to be somewhere between 9:50, 10 o'clock. But what you want to be is in that neighborhood about 15 minutes before that. Do a quick drive-by, recon, just see if there's some super crazy looking shiny film or super purple bubbly looking garbage all over the place. Because if that's the case, they don't have a strong HOA. But if they do, there's precedent set that somebody else has got shiny film across the street. Of course, you're going to be allowed to have shiny film. But if you see a whole bunch of Stepford houses where everyone's got the same look, then you got to believe there's an HOA. So normally I'll bring it up. Hey, you guys have like an HOA or anything? You know, the kind of Nazis walk around with the clipboard, making sure your grass isn't too long and stuff. And then after they giggle or whatever, then they'll say, yeah, I think I have a big covenant book. And they bring down this Old Testament and then they go and flip through and see if there's anything to do with window film. It's always in the blinds or window treatment section. And there's one of two scenarios. Scenario one, film's on the inside. I only care what's going on the outside. You do whatever the hell you want. Or it says, film goes on the inside, but it faces the outside and affects the look. I really care what you're going to do here. You can go no more than such and such. And in that regard, very few times does it say you can be no more reflective than 27% reflective. What it says is no reflective films allowed. And that scares the people who aren't familiar with this. But that is an opportunity for me. Because where everyone else is saying, well, we can't put shiny films, I guess we're going to have to sell ceramic for a bunch of money, or I'm going to have to sell car film on the house, and you're not going to have a warranty. What I say is, okay, well, so the thing is that reflective is subjective. I mean, if you're looking at a dual reflective 25 versus an R20, they're like a silver 20. They're both reflective. But if you put one in someone's hand and one in someone's hand and said, which one's reflective, they would pick the shinier one. So in that regard, I just go and say, here's the quote. Here's the dual reflective film that we've ascertained you want. So here's the sample of the film you want. And here's the shiniest, garbagiest, one-way mirroriest film that exists. Boom. And you just say, you give these to your HOA, you submit it the proper way. It says no reflective window film. You just say you're between these two films. Which one am I allowed to get? And nobody outside of our business knows what a reflective film looks like. So you put on a one-way mirror film and a dual reflective 25 side by side. They'll look at them and say, ew, this one's shiny. You can put this one on. And then the film that, if you had given them a dual reflective 25 and a neutral 50, they would have denied the 25 and approved the 50. But because you gave them the film the customer actually wanted and the shiniest looking film that exists, then the shiniest film that exists makes this film less reflective by comparison, and now this film's getting approved.
There's a lot of, I don't want to call it smoke and mirrors, but it's a smart way to give the customer what they want and make HOA still feel like they've done their due diligence.
The thing is, I never, ever lie or misrepresent what the film will do because I know enough about the film that I can sell to the benefits of it. And you need to know not as much as me. You just need to know more than the customer and the guys who's walking through. And in the absence of that, you need to treat them correctly because I know that we're up against time. But I know you're familiar with the golden rule, right? Treat others as you wish to be treated.
Right.
But in sales, and I've been hearing this for years, and there's books on the subject and all these public speakers that get paid a good amount of money to speak at these conferences talk about something called the platinum rule. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
Okay. This is not treat others the way you want to be treated. It's treat others the way they want to be treated. Because everybody wants to be treated differently. You know, in your human interactions, there's people you can joke with. There's people you can't. There's people who are very personable. And there are people who are very guarded. And there are people who are very analytical and want to know all the numbers about stuff. And there's people who wouldn't give a crap. They just don't want it to be too bright and sunny when they're watching TV. You need to figure out who your customer or potential customer is and talk to them like they would talk to them. And if you can start mirroring the way that they behave and the way that they're what's important to them becomes important to you. You don't need to talk about, and this one at an angle doesn't this, and then it's 97% infrared and 88% heat rejection, and that's 7% of light. They don't care if it's a customer that doesn't care. You will lose that customer. The eyes will roll in the back of their head. You need to go and make it about what they've expressed an interest in being important. And don't just go on autopilot sales guy. Listen to the customer, react to the customer, and then you're the smart friend instead of the sales guy.
There it is. There it is. Well, Adam, I really appreciate your time. We've been going at it for, dang, it was supposed to be quick, and it's damn near an hour. It's always been an hour. I don't know. That's a good thing when the conversation flows very well. So I won't take up too much of your time. And we're gonna go ahead and close out this live stream for this evening here. But thank you again, Adam, for spending time with us. Again, this is Adam Feldman, co-founder of Advanced Film Solutions in Lutz, Florida. Do you have any final words, final thoughts for the people that are watching?
Don't open up anywhere close to me or I'll put you under. But outside of that, good luck.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Where the heck is it? There you go. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here. I thought that was a really great interview. We've been at it for almost an hour. We were trying to shoot for like 30 minutes. At 25-30 minutes, get some Q&A in. But as you know, that the conversation was good, and we just kind of kept flowing at it here. So, and awesome final remarks as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Again, this is Patrick with YouTube. You can also check us out on Facebook with the group over at Window Tinting Business, and also the business page, Patrick Latman, as well. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified whenever I go live or upload new videos as well. So again, I will see you guys next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you later.